as to how we get ourselves out of the current crisis that we find ourselves in. It's not the first crisis that we've ever experienced. If we look back to 1992, although the circumstances have changed, that was also another crucial turning point in Thai political history. Today, we talk to someone who was entrusted, someone widely accepted, and came into the Thai political scene to help spearhead the measures to get Thailand out of the crisis it was in 1992. Today, we welcome a special guest on our show, former Prime Minister Anan Panyarachun. Swadika. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for giving us the time today. I'd like to start off with a broader picture. In your opinion, on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 were the best, where does Thailand stand right now, politically, economically, and socially? Where does Thailand stand?
What was the highest mark we ever scored? I think it has to be compared to whatever highest mark we scored.
Well, what do you think the highest mark would be? We enjoyed a time.
I think Thailand in general would perhaps score around 7 and 8, all through. Mm-hmm.
Are we still at that point, sir?
Oh, definitely below that. Yeah.
Would you say we're at, let's say, a mediocre 4 or 5, or maybe?
Well, I would say at the moment it would be about 4 or 5. Yeah.
Thinking back through the past several decades, what do you think the elements are that brought us to where we are right now?
Well, I think it has something to do with our history, with our culture, and with the. Thailand had always been a kingdom.
Yes, sir.
And we have been independent for nearly 800 years. I think that it was the wisdom of our forefathers that we have been able to escape Western colonialism and Western encroachments on our rights and on our sovereignty. So I think that the inner strength of Thailand has had a good track record.
Yes, sir.
And I would say that one of the most important characteristics of the Thai in being able to ward off any threats from outside and also domestically, I would put it down as pragmatism. At the same time, I think that the history and culture of Thailand have also put up some obstacles towards the, shall we say, smooth future. I think the nature of the Thais and the cultural barriers, not cultural in the normal sense of the word, but I think that it's as a national habit, in a sense, the idea is that the young always have to show proper respect to the elders, in terms of their status, in terms of their age, in terms of their power, in terms of their wealth.
Yes, sir.
And so, what has crept into our national life is that the less privileged, the marginalized, or the disenfranchised have always been beholden to the more senior, to the more wealthy, and to the more powerful. And I think that to me that is a real obstacle to to real progress, or to fast progress and to fast development. And I'm not saying that Thailand has been feudalistic in the same sense as existed in several other countries, including many Asian countries. But the feudalist sort of a mentality is still there.
Yes, sir.
It's a mindset that is an obstacle.
That mindset remains till today.
Well, it's not an easy thing to change the mindset or to change the, shall we say, the habits.
There are certain positive aspects of our culture, of our nature as Thais. Those negative aspects have, what you've mentioned, has hindered progress and development. How do we keep the positive aspects of being Thai, being good-natured, being forgiving people, and somewhat do away with the negative effects that have hindered development?
if you look at the history of Thailand and several other Asian countries that have become sort of colonized, we always had pride in the fact that we had been able to withstand the Western encroachments and the Western, shall we say, power game in the area. I attribute it to pragmatism. There are a few other factors too. For example, I think that we opened up our country long before many other countries. Those Asian nations or African nations that had not been able to open up their societies to the Western influence felt I would say, the punishment in a way. In our case, that since the King Rama V's reign, we opened up our country, possibly in every aspect. So the conflict that started and that might develop into real war and confrontation have abated in a way. And of course, we lost nearly half of our territory, and at one time we had to concede to the demands of the Western powers in terms of their consular rights, in terms of their right to trade freely, but that came at a price too. I think that the fact that we had never been colonized, sometimes colonization is a very, very bad process, and yet it had some positive aspects to Britain that had ruled many parts of Asia, had left as its legacies a good administration, good civil service, good justice system. In our case, we had to start from scratch. Perhaps we had to emulate or to draw upon the good examples from other countries, but the danger about drawing upon the good examples of other countries, be it in terms of civil service or democratic system or whatnot, we had a tendency to place more importance to the shape and form of the ideas or of the concept that we emulated, but we did not have the full grasp, full understanding of the substance of the matter. So sometimes look at the democratic rule in Thailand. We have been struggling with so-called democratic system and democratic values for the past 80 years, and yet we still put too much emphasis on the form and the shape in terms of election, in terms of constitution, in terms of parliament, in terms of executive, blah blah blah. But in order to build up a full-fledged democracy, I think you needed more than that. You needed democratic pillars, you need democratic values, you need democratic institutions, be it free and independent media or fair and impartial justice system, be it governance, be it transparency, be it accountability, and be it the civil society. So those are the pillars that we have neglected in a way, and as a result, when you went for the form and the shape, and without really touching the substance of the matter, you're bound to fail. And yet, to be fair, in the past 80 years, I think we have made lots of progress, wittingly or otherwise, in terms of people's awareness of their rights, in terms of people's desire for participation, in terms of people's craving for their rights and their role to play in the development democracy. To me, those are pluses, but we're still a long way off, and we have ups and downs. We had too many changes of constitution. I think all in all, we had lots of